Katy Hayes and her husband Al have been waiting for the day she gets a step closer to independence. 5 years ago, doctors had to amputate her arms and legs to save her life from a potentially fatal infection. While that was tough to take, they had renewed hope after Katy qualified to become a recipient of arm transplants.
When we entered this program, first time, you're going to follow it word for word, law by law, protocol by protocol, what is expected of us.
Katy spent the past 3 years preparing for her new arms. That means all kinds of testing, procedures, mounds of paperwork, and waiting for the perfect match. She and her family even moved away from Kingwood for 2.5 years to live near the institute that offered them so much hope, Brigham and Women's Hospital in Boston, Massachusetts.
We have not thought one moment that they could drop us from the program. That we just couldn't fathom that would be ever a possibility.
When another family member suffered medical problems, the Hayes say they got permission to move back to Texas and stay on the arm transplant list in Boston.
We were going to stay up there and sit it out, but we were assured by the lead doctor from the transplant team that we would remain a 100% priority of the hospital.
Then, a phone call from a lawyer and doctor from Brigham and Women's Hospital. At first, Katy thought it might be time for a transplant.
I was oblivious, like, okay, let's talk to the doctor. And turns out they decided to cut me from the transplant list. So we're devastated.
Did they tell you why?
They couldn't really give a very clear explanation, which really bothered us. And we sent mega emails back and forth trying to understand what happened.
In general, I'm a happy person, but with regards to the phone call from the doctors, I'm angry. I'm angry because there was no disclosure of the process. When we reached out to them multiple times to ask for explanations, if there was a medical condition or a criteria that would have made her a difficult match, then that should be disclosed to us.
But Al says Katy was deemed to be an easy match, as she's considered a universal donor. Katy was depending on transplants to help her take care of herself and her family. She just got new prosthetics, but they're difficult to use because her amputations are above the elbows. They fit tightly and are heavy, so it can be painful for her.
That you can't do multiple joint functions at one time. So you have to move the elbow, then hit a button, then move the wrist, then hit a button, then move the hand.
Katy is teaching painting lessons and trying to recover from the latest blow. But she and her family want closure and to understand why she's off that transplant list.
I think that the hospital owes us and the taxpayers of Massachusetts an explanation for why they would bring in a family from out of state, wipe out that family's savings, spend thousands of taxpayers' dollars, and then without disclosure of any, there was no appeal, there was no, these are the criteria why, these are things, can you address these, we have these concerns, could you address them? With zero communication with us.